In a bustling airport terminal, Anna stood in line, clutching her ticket. She was already running late for her flight, her heart racing with every tick of the clock above her. The line moved slowly, and her frustration grew with each passing moment. Travelers ahead of her took their time, chatting, glancing at their phones, clearly unfazed by the ticking seconds. As she shifted her weight from one foot to the other, she caught sight of a man slipping into the line right in front of her. The nerve. He had been behind her just a moment ago. Anna's eyes narrowed as she felt a surge of indignation rise within her. She interrupted, her voice louder than she intended. The man turned around, surprise etched across his face. He looked to be in his mid-50s with a weathered face that seemed to carry stories of its own. Anna's irritation flared. "Well, you belong behind me," she shot back. A few people nearby glanced in their direction, drawn in by the tension. They exchanged knowing looks, silently judging the situation. The man took a breath, a hint of sadness in his eyes. "I appreciate your concern, but I really can't wait long." Instead of feeling any empathy or understanding, Anna felt her anger deepen. She crossed her arms and stood firm. "That's not my problem." Her voice was sharper now, more accusing. Just then, a little girl, probably no more than 7, giggled as she ran by with her mother. The carefree laughter seemed to cut through the heaviness, but Anna was too wrapped up in her own frustrations to notice. Instead, she focused on the man's expression. "I understand," he said softly, "but I have my reasons. I promise you I wouldn't do this unless I absolutely had to." Anna didn't soften. All she saw was a man who felt entitled enough to skip ahead. The people around them were getting restless. The man looked down for a moment, letting out a quiet sigh. He then reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small, shiny medal, letting it dangle from his fingers. There were quick gasps from the small crowd that had gathered, their expressions shifting from annoyance to curiosity. Anna asked, her voice a mix of confusion and irritation. "It's the medal I received for my service," he replied, letting his voice soften. "I'm a veteran. I served in the Navy, and I was just at a ceremony honoring my fellow soldiers. It ran much longer than planned, and now I'm racing to get home." Anna blinked, the weight of his words settling heavily on her chest. In her mind, she had merely seen a man cutting in line, someone who didn't respect the rules. But here was a story, one filled with bravery and sacrifice. "You didn't have to show me that," Anna said, her tone a little less sharp. "I just thought." The man nodded slowly, his eyes kind. "I understand. It's easy to judge someone without knowing their story." His words hung in the air, echoing around them. Anna felt a twinge of guilt. She realized in that moment her anger had blinded her. She had rushed to judgment without looking deeper. "I'm sorry," she said finally, her voice softer. She felt a knot in her stomach as she faced the reality of her own actions. "It's okay," he replied, his face easing into a small smile. "We all have our moments." Anna could see the kindness in his eyes, and it was disarming. She felt a deep sense of shame and respect mingling within her. "Do you think?" The man looked back at her, his face thoughtful. She offered, armed now with a new sense of teamwork. "It's funny how quickly anger shifts." The man's calm spirit filled the air with a different kind of energy. Just then the line moved slightly and they inched closer to the counter. "Let's give it a try," he said, a spark of optimism lighting in his eyes. The two of them stepped side by side and he turned to her again. "Thank you for your kindness," he said. Anna nodded, feeling the warmth of the moment envelop them. Together they reached the front of the line and a friendly attendant smiled at them. The elderly man quickly explained his situation and Anna felt her heart race. Would the attendant understand? Would they let him through? The attendant listened patiently. "I completely understand," she said, glancing at Anna with a knowing smile as if reading the silent exchange between them. Anna felt a rush of relief wash over her. "Yes, please," she said, feeling proud of herself as much as of the man beside her. As he rushed to the boarding gate with a grateful wave, Anna realized something had shifted in her heart. The situation had started with her anger, but now it was blossoming into understanding. Before he disappeared down the corridor, he turned back to her, his smile wide and sincere. "Thank you for standing by me." Anna felt a lump in her throat. "No, thank you for sharing your story," she replied, her voice catching. With that, he was gone, but a deep sense of connection lingered in the air, as if time had slowed just for them. As Anna walked back towards her own gate, she reflected on how often misunderstandings could cloud judgments. She hoped others would learn to look deeper like she had. Sometimes it takes a moment of confrontation to uncover truth. She felt lighter, wiser somehow, carrying a newfound respect for the stories others might hold. So many people rush through life, caught up in their own struggles. We often overlook the battles others face, judging them too quickly on the surface. Anna understood that now, and it would stay with her. In a world that can feel cold and harsh, she took comfort in knowing that compassion could shine through that darkness. That day in the airport, she had learned the power of understanding. As her flight was called, Anna smiled to herself. She felt a little more connected to humanity, a little more aware that kindness could bridge any gap. She might have entered that airport consumed by her own challenges, but now she left carrying something beautiful, a reminder that stories intertwine, bringing us closer than we realize. Life was full of unexpected moments, and each one held the potential to change everything if only we gave it a chance. She stood there, tapping her foot impatiently, her eyes darting from the ticking clock to the winding line in front of her. The bustling airport hummed around Anna, blending together the sounds of rolling luggage, distant announcements, and murmurs of travelers. Every second felt like an eternity. She was already late for her flight, and she could feel the anxious energy coiling inside her. That's when she noticed him. A man in a navy blue jacket, looking like he just rushed in from another world, stepped ahead of her in line. Her heart raced. How could he just cut in like that? The line was a social contract, built on fairness, patience, and respect, or so she thought. She blurted out, surprising even herself. He turned, startled, his eyes wide and innocent. He seemed older, perhaps in his 50s, with a few gray strands breaking through his dark hair and deep lines etched on his face that told stories of time and toil. There was softness in his demeanor that contrasted sharply with Anna's escalating anger. "I'm so sorry," he replied, his voice calm and sincere. "I was just trying to figure out where this line begins." Anna interrupted, her voice rising. "Cut in, it's disrespectful, and we're all waiting here like good people." The man raised his hands slightly, a peaceful gesture. "I really understand your frustration, but I'm under a lot of pressure right now," he said, maintaining his composed tone. Anna crossed her arms, eyes narrowing as she surveyed the man. He stood there, unyielding yet somehow fragile, as if a harsh word could break him. But something about this situation felt personal to her, and she wasn't going to back down. We're all under pressure. The tension in the air thickened. People around them began to turn their heads, intrigued by the growing conflict. The atmosphere crackled, a silent crowd forming witnesses to this unexpected showdown. Anna felt the stares and the judgment, but her indignation drowned it out. "Listen," he said, his voice dropping slightly as if sharing a weighty secret. "All I'm asking is for a little understanding. I just returned from an event for veterans." At that moment, Anna glimpsed a small medal nestled against the fabric of his jacket, catching the light from a nearby overhead lamp. Its shine was striking, an unexpected ray in a moment thick with discord. She asked, curiosity creeping into her tone against her will. He moved slightly and the medal swung free, revealing a vibrant ribbon and the insignia of a branch of the military. He asked, almost shyly, "I served in the Navy." Suddenly, all the anger froze in place, like a moment caught in a snapshot. Everyone's expressions shifted from curiosity to respect, as if they had just unwrapped a present that revealed something precious. Anna felt the weight of her emotions change. This man wasn't just a stranger cutting in line, he was a veteran, someone who had sacrificed for his country. I didn't realize," Anna stammered, feeling the heat of embarrassment flood her cheeks. "I'm sorry," the man nodded, a small acknowledgement of her honesty. "There's a lot beneath the surface, isn't there? We see someone who upsets our plans and forget that they might have their own story." The air felt charged, as if time had paused, allowing the two of them to really see one another. The line in front of the ticket counter gradually began to shift, but Anna had lost awareness of it. Instead, she was staring deeply into the eyes of this man whose presence suddenly felt monumental. Anna asked, her voice softening. "It was to honor veterans," he explained, a nostalgic sparkle in his eyes. "We shared stories, laughed, and remembered comrades who didn't make it back." Something within Anna's chest opened up, breaking the rigid walls she'd built around herself. She could see the toll of his experiences etched on his face, the weariness that comes with a life lived in service. In that moment, all her frustrations melted away. Here was a man who had fought for his country and stood with honor, and she had nearly dismissed him as merely rude and entitled. "I'm still struggling to get home," he continued, an edge of anxiety creeping back into his voice. "My family is waiting." At that moment, Anna felt a deep pull of compassion. She suggested, her voice resonating clarity. He looked at her, surprise crossing his face. "You do that?" "Absolutely," she said, feeling a surge of determination. They walked side by side, inching closer to the front of the line. As they neared the counter, a friendly attendant greeted them. "Welcome." The elderly man hurriedly explained his situation, the urgency in his voice wrapped in a gentle plea. Anna could feel the tension leave him as they spoke together. She stood resolutely beside him, a guardian angel determined to help. "I was at a ceremony honoring veterans," he finished. The attendant, a young woman with bright eyes, nodded as she listened. "Of course, I appreciate your service, and we can definitely get you on the next flight." Anna's heart soared, relief washing over her like a cool breeze. She glanced at the man beside her, the light of hope flickering in his eyes. The attendant clicked away on her computer, and soon she smiled brightly. "You're all set," the man exclaimed, his eyes glistening with gratitude. As they turned to leave, he took a moment to face Anna, his expression brimming with sincerity. "You helped me more than you know." Anna felt warmth spread through her. "And thank you for your service. Life teaches us lessons when we least expect them," he replied, a twinkle in his eye. As he hurried away, a flood of emotions washed over her. Anna felt small but significant, standing in a world full of stories waiting to be told. She had glimpsed the heart of a man who had lived more in a moment than she ever would in a year. As she began to walk towards her own terminal, she reflected on their encounter. All around her, families reunited, laughter echoed, and travelers rushed to their gates, each infused with their own open stories ready to unfold. Anna realized that there were layers to every moment, colors and textures hidden beneath the surface. How often did she rush through life, failing to appreciate the beauty of the human experience? She thought back to how quickly she had jumped to conclusions, letting anger and impatience cloud her judgment. What if she had stayed true to that anger? Would she have turned away from someone trying to merely find their place? A warm smile crept onto her face, mingling with a sense of determination. She would be more open, more observant. Anna had learned that seeing differences was merely the first step. Embracing them was where true understanding emerged. Each encounter would be a chance to dig deeper, to uncover the stories layered within every person she met, like peeling back the petals of a flower, revealing its beauty hidden at the core. With every footfall, she felt renewed. The next time she hurried through a line, she would remember the veteran who had challenged her view, the man who had been so much more than just a stranger. Life was a rich tapestry woven from countless stories, each one interlacing with another, beautiful and intricate. Anna felt connected to that truth as she made her way toward the gate, her heart now lighter, her mind open, and her spirit ready to embrace the world. Today had taught her more than she could have imagined. It had expanded her view and deepened her compassion. And as she walked on, she knew she would carry that understanding forward, a lesson etched in her heart, a reminder that it's never too late to see the world through fresh eyes. The airport terminal buzzed with energy and noise, but in the midst of the chaos, Anna's gaze was fixed on the long line snaking ahead of her. She felt a knot tighten in her stomach, her impatience growing with every tick of the clock. Her flight was boarding in less than 20 minutes, and it felt like that line was moving in slow motion. Then she saw him, the man in the navy jacket. He cut right in front of her without a second glance, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. The sight sent a flash of anger coursing through her veins. How could he just cut in line? Didn't he see the rest of us waiting? Anna felt her face heat up as she clenched her fists, ready to confront him. "Hey," she called out, her voice slicing through the ambient noise. The man turned, surprise flashing in his eyes, making him look almost childlike for a split second. "I'm sorry, but I believe you're in my spot," Anna said, her tone sharp. There was a moment of hesitation, and she could see his brow furrowing. "I'm just trying to figure out where to go," he replied, his voice steady, tinged with confusion. Anna crossed her arms, her agitation rising. She stated, her voice catching the attention of others nearby. The tension in the air thickened as the surrounding travelers turned to observe the confrontation. "I really need to get on this flight," he said, stress evident in his voice. "Everyone has places to be," Anna shot back, her irritation drowning out her empathy. The people around them exchanged glances. Some looked on in judgment, others seemed intrigued by the unfolding drama. In that moment, she caught a glimpse of his face, not just the man who had cut in line, but a man weathered by life, with lines etched deep into his skin. She could see worry darting in his eyes. "I honestly didn't mean to upset you," he continued, hands raised in a placating gesture. "You should think about others before breaking the rules," Anna snapped, the tension taut between them. She was determined to stand her ground, but as she held his gaze, something shifted. He hesitated for a moment, then reached into his jacket, pulling out a small medal attached to a ribbon. It glinted under the fluorescent lights, capturing the crowd's attention. "I earned this for my service," he said softly, revealing it like a treasure. Anna's breath caught in her throat. For a moment, the world around them faded into silence. The medal shimmered with history and honor. It felt like a portal into a life she hadn't considered, one filled with courage, sacrifice, and duty. "I didn't know," she said, her tone softening. The anger that had fueled her started to dissolve into something more complicated. "It's easy to judge someone without knowing their story," he replied, his voice steady. "But we all have our own battles." Anna felt her heart shift, the ember of understanding igniting within her. She had locked herself in a bubble of impatience and fury, overlooking the deeper truths in the world. "I didn't realize you were coming from something so important," she confessed, guilt flooding her. The way his expression softened made her feel a rush of empathy. "It's all right, we all have our moments. I appreciate that you stood up for yourself." Hearing that made her feel both validated and ashamed. In this crowded terminal, she let the stress of their situation blind her to who he truly was. She felt suddenly small, realizing how quickly she had rushed to judgment. Anna asked, her voice carrying a hint of hope. "I hope so," he replied, looking toward the boarding gate, uncertainty creeping into his gaze. "Well, let's ask together. Maybe they'll understand," she suggested, a newfound sense of purpose washing over her. He asked, surprise flickering in his eyes. "Absolutely," she said, standing beside him with a newfound sense of solidarity. The two of them stepped up side by side toward the counter. The attendant stood ready, typing away on her computer, unaware of the drama that had just unfolded. She asked, glancing up with a bright smile. The veteran took a breath, quickening his pace. "I'm hoping to get on my flight." Before the attendant could respond, Anna chimed in. "He really needs to get home." The attendant's face shifted from casual interest to compassion. "I understand. Thank you for your service." As the attendant worked her magic on the keyboard, Anna felt a rush of relief flooding through her. The weight that had settled between her and the veteran began to lift. Soon enough, a smile broke out on the attendant's face. She said, her voice bright as she printed out a boarding pass, "You can head right through." The veteran's face lit up, gratitude spilling from his eyes. He said, beaming at Anna. Anna exclaimed, pride swelling in her chest. As they exchanged smiles, the man turned to walk away, but not before stopping to face Anna once more. "You really helped me." "No," Anna replied, her own heart swelling. "Thank you for your service." With a quick wave, he turned and hurried down the terminal, merging into a crowd that seemed to swallow him whole. Anna stood for a moment, watching him with a renewed sense of understanding and connection to the world around her. Realizing that life was full of encounters just like that, Anna felt something inside her shift. Instead of rushing through life, she wanted to start seeing people. Each person with their own stories, struggles, and triumphs, which often went unnoticed in the chaos of everyday life. As she made her way to the gate for her own flight, she recalled the tension that had hung in the air just moments before, the anger that had flared and flickered away. Would she have considered that veteran's circumstances had she not paused? It dawned on her that we all weave in and out of one another's lives. Each interaction was a thread in the fabric of existence. Anna felt a fresh resolve to engage with everyone she met, to approach them with curiosity instead of contempt. As she settled into her seat on the plane, her mind raced. Her thoughts lingered on the veteran and his medal, how a small flash of honor had transformed a moment of anger into one of understanding. The rush of the airport faded with each passing minute, and with it her stress began to dissolve. In those final moments before takeoff, she couldn't help but smile, feeling the excitement pulse through her again. After that encounter, she needed to experience the world and its people with fresh eyes, fully taking in what each moment had to offer. She had caught a glimpse of the good that could emerge when communication broke the barriers of judgment. Life had a way of teaching us through unexpected encounters if we were open to the lessons. With that thought dancing in her mind, Anna looked out the window at the world below, a tapestry of stories waiting to be discovered. She was ready to embrace it all, to weave her own threads into the fabric with kindness, patience, and understanding. And above all, she would remember that behind every face lies a story worth hearing, a life filled with experiences that connect us all. Sometimes the most profound lessons come from moments we never expect, and Anna was ready to embrace them all. The bustling airport hummed like a busy hive, people swirling around in a dance of anxiety and anticipation. Anna stood in line at the security checkpoint, tapping her foot impatiently. She glanced at her watch, feeling time slip away. Her flight was boarding in less than 20 minutes. Every second counted. Suddenly, she noticed a man slipping in front of her. He wore a navy jacket, the kind that blended into the crowd but seemed to carry a weight that set him apart. Her heart raced, irritation surging through her like electricity. She shouted, her voice cutting through the ambient noise like a knife. The man turned, surprise etching his features. He asked, brows furrowing slightly. He looked like he had aged a decade in an instant. "You just cut in line," Anna said, her tone sharp and accusatory. The atmosphere shifted like the sudden clap of thunder, drawing the attention of those waiting in line. You could feel the tension swell, a collective breath held. The man blinked at her, confusion mingling with stress. Anna interrupted, her voice rising, fueled by the impatience that churned inside her. Around them, people exchanged glances, their expressions flickering between disbelief and intrigue. Anna's anger felt righteous in that moment, but she noticed a flicker of hurt in the man's eyes, which only intensified her own frustration. "I really didn't mean to upset anyone," he said, his voice losing a touch of its steadiness. I need to catch my flight." Her chest tightened as she heard that desperation. A small part of her faltered. She could understand wanting to get home. Everyone had places to be, but why should he be special? "That's not my problem." He hesitated, and a faint shadow of worry crossed his face. "I really am trying to get home." For a moment, time seemed to hang in the air, the noise of the airport fading into the background. In that pregnant silence, Anna could see the stress etched into his features, lines around his mouth that spoke of years lived under pressure, the kind she could only begin to imagine. Then it happened. With a shaky hand, he reached into his jacket and pulled out a small medal, the bright ribbon gleaming under the fluorescent lights. The sight caught everyone's attention, and the atmosphere shifted from tension to reverence. "It's for my service in the Navy," he explained, his voice now more fragile. "I just came from a ceremony." Anna's heart raced, and all the anger that had surged through her moments before began to unravel. She felt a flush of embarrassment wash over her. It wasn't just a man in line, he was a veteran, someone who had served a purpose far greater than herself. I didn't know," she mumbled, her tone softening as the weight of her words settled in. "I'm sorry." "I understand," he replied, a small, sad smile crossing his face. "We often don't consider the stories behind the people we meet." Caught off guard, Anna actually felt her defenses crumble. It was true, she had rushed to judgment without a thought. "You're right," she said, the guilt creeping in. The man nodded, looking relieved that she had acknowledged it. "It's easy to do." Anna felt a tug of empathy, and she could see the honesty in his eyes. There was a depth in his gaze that spoke of struggles and sacrifices, qualities she had overlooked in her anger. "Do you think," she asked, hope flooding her voice. He glanced at the clock, the skin around his eyes tightening. "I really hope so." "Well, let's ask together," Anna suggested, feeling a newfound sense of determination. The man looked at her, surprise washing over his features. He asked, a flicker of disbelief in his eyes. "Of course," Anna said, standing firm at his side. They approached the counter together, Anna feeling a rush of nervous energy. As they neared, the airport attendant looked up from her screen, her expression bright. The man quickly explained his situation, his voice steady but filled with urgency. "I just came from a ceremony honoring veterans." Anna stepped beside him, nodding and adding, "He really needs to get on that flight." The attendant's demeanor shifted at the mention of the ceremony. "I appreciate your service," she said. Anna could feel the air thicken with tension as the attendant tapped away on her keyboard, her brow furrowing in concentration. Minutes felt like hours as the veteran stood beside Anna, trying to remain hopeful. Suddenly the attendant smiled. "You're all set, I can get you on the next flight." The man's face transformed, a wave of relief washing over him. He exclaimed, turning to Anna. Anna felt warmth spread through her chest. "I didn't do anything special." He shook his head, gratitude radiating from him like light. "You stood by me when I needed it most." For a moment they stood there, two strangers connected by an unexpected moment in time. With a grateful wave, he rushed off toward his boarding gate, seamlessly blending back into the rush of travelers. As Anna walked away from the counter, she felt a surge of emotion. Her anger had melted away, replaced by a deep sense of connection. It was like she had been washed clean, ready to face the world anew. But as she navigated through the crowded terminal, her thoughts lingered on what had just happened. How easily she had let anger consume her in the first place. Why had she initially viewed the simplest of human interactions through a lens of hostility? Life had a way of swinging open doors if only we took the time to look. Every person around her was a universe of experiences, stories waiting to be told. She thought about the moments we all rush through, the judgments that spill out before we know the whole story. In that moment, Anna felt an awakening breeze brushing against her, as if life itself was nudging her towards something profound. Every fleeting moment had something to offer, a lesson to learn if she was willing to listen. She couldn't help but smile as she approached her own gate. The heaviness of stress had lifted, replaced by a lightness that made her feel like anything was possible. As she settled into her seat on the plane, she felt grateful for that encounter, for the reminder of the beauty that lies hidden beneath the surface. She had witnessed something incredible today, the power of understanding, compassion, and shared humanity. The plane began a taxi down the runway, and as it lifted off the ground, Anna looked out the window at the world falling away beneath her. Below were cities busy with lives intertwined, each one a story waiting to be discovered. She made a silent vow to carry this lesson forward, to approach every person she met with curiosity and kindness. After all, they each had their battles, their victories, and their stories, experiences that could connect and enrich her own life in ways she had yet to understand. In that soaring moment, Anna felt a deep sense of hope. She realized that life had an uncanny way of teaching us through unexpected encounters. And if she opened her heart and mind, she could uncover treasures in every connection, every interaction. As the plane soared into the sky, she breathed in the possibilities ahead of her. Anna was ready to embrace every moment, to meet the world head-on, and to remember that behind every face lies a story worth hearing. Every encounter was a chance to build bridges, find understanding, and weave a richer tapestry of life. And above all, she would remember the man in the navy jacket, the one who had turned an ordinary moment into something extraordinary, reminding her that kindness has the power to change everything. The chaotic sounds of the airport reverberated through the terminal like a symphony of stress and urgency. Anna stood anxiously in line, glancing at the clock overhead, its relentless ticking pulling her deeper into a spiral of impatience. She was already late for her flight, and the throngs of travelers seemed to move with excruciating slowness. Then it happened. Just as Anna was about to inch closer to the security checkpoint, a man in a navy jacket slipped in front of her. The shock of it hit her like a sudden gust of wind. She shouted, her voice slicing through the ambient noise. The man turned, surprise flaring in his eyes, and for a brief moment, time seemed to freeze. He looked to be in his late 50s, a few grays streaking through his hair, his face lined with the stories of a life well lived. He asked, confusion furrowing his brow. Anna accused, her heart racing with indignation. A ripple of tension spread through the people around them. She could feel their eyes watching, a silent audience to her outburst. The man raised his hands, his voice dropping to a more measured tone. "I'm not trying to cause trouble, I just didn't see where the line ended." Anna snapped back, anger thrumming through her. The man took a step back, a flicker of hurt mingling with his surprise. "I understand you're frustrated," he said slowly, "but I'm really trying to get back to my family." She shouted, her voice echoing off the terminal walls. The energy in the air shifted. People were shifting uncomfortably in their places, some glancing toward each other, their expressions a mix of judgment and intrigue. "I didn't mean to upset anyone," the man replied, his tone earnest yet strained. "I assure you this isn't what I wanted." Just then Anna noticed a small metal pin to his jacket, catching the harsh airport lights like a beacon. Her breath caught in her throat. She asked, her tone softening, curiosity breaking through her anger. He looked down, his expression shifting. He gestured to the metal. The words hung in the air like a sudden gust of wind, reshaping everything Anna had felt moments before. The tension that had filled the space disappeared, replaced by something heavier. She blinked, suddenly aware that he wasn't just a man cutting in line. He was a veteran, one who had lived through experiences she had never even begun to fathom. I didn't know," she stammered, the anger in her voice dissipating. "I'm sorry." The man nodded slowly, a hint of weariness in his eyes. "It's okay." Anna felt a wave of guilt wash over her. She had reacted without thinking, letting her frustrations cloud her judgment. "I shouldn't have jumped to conclusions," she admitted quietly. "Don't worry about it," he replied softly. It happened. They stood there for a beat, the silence between them heavy with unspoken understanding. Anna took a breath, her mind racing. She asked, hope inching into her voice. Glanced at the clock, worry flickering across his face. "I hope so. I really need to get home," he said, urgency creeping back into his voice. "Let's ask together," Anna suggested, determination surging within her. His eyes widened slightly. "Of course," she said, feeling a newfound sense of camaraderie. Together they moved toward the counter, Anna's heart racing. As they approached, the attendant looked up from her terminal and offered a bright smile. The veteran quickly explained his situation. "Just came from a ceremony honoring veterans." Anna stood beside him, her heart full of support. "He really needs to get on that flight." The attendant's expression changed at the mention of the ceremony. A warmth settled into her words. "Thank you for your service." As the attendant typed away, Anna felt the tension in the air shift. The urgency of the moment wrapped around them, a cocoon of hope and anxiety. She could see the man's shoulders relax slightly, the burden of stress lifting just a bit. Moments dragged on, but then the attendant looked up with a smile. "You're all set. I can get you on the next flight." The man's face lit up, a mixture of relief and gratitude washing over him. He exclaimed, turning to Anna. Anna felt a warmth spread through her chest. "I didn't do anything special." "No," he insisted. "You stood by me." Their eyes locked, and in that moment a connection blossomed between two strangers, an understanding forged in the fires of frustration and compassion. With a grateful wave, he rushed off toward his boarding gate, disappearing into the crowd. As Anna stood there, a profound sense of clarity washed over her. She felt lighter, as if something had shifted within her. That moment had transformed her own perspective, allowing her to glimpse the depth of someone else's struggle. Walking away from the counter, she replayed the encounter in her mind. Why had she let her anger take the wheel? With all the chaos swirling around them, it was easy to forget that the person next to her had his own trials, his own history. The airport buzzed with people, strangers bustling past each other, each one enveloped in their own story. Anna felt a swell of recognition. She was one small part of a larger tapestry, every thread connected in ways she had never fully appreciated before. Life had a way of unexpected lessons, and she realized that compassion could change everything. Every encounter was an opportunity to look deeper, to see beyond the surface. She felt the weight of her own judgments lift as she approached her gate, her heart open to possibility. Settling into her seat on the plane, her mind shifted again to the man in the navy jacket. She hoped he'd made it home in time. She thought about how his medal had shone brightly, capturing her attention and revealing the truth of who he was. He had served, fought, and sacrificed for his country, and she had almost let anger blind her to that. The lesson lingered, an inkling of awareness she carried with her, a promise to approach the world with curiosity, not judgment. As the flight attendant's voice rang through the cabin, giving the final instructions before takeoff, Anna took a deep breath, feeling a sense of comfort wash over her. Outside her window, the world beneath them shrank, buildings and landscapes turning into intricate toys. She found herself smiling, not just about the experience, but about the realization that life could surprise her. The airport, filled with its noise and energy, had unveiled a deeper wisdom, the understanding that the connections we share could bridge any gap. In that moment, Anna vowed to be open to the stories in every encounter she faced, to be aware of the hidden struggles, to recognize the beauty in differences, and to remember that kindness could bloom even in the most unexpected places. Through the window, she watched the clouds drift beneath her, covering the chaos of the world below. It reminded her that while life was often tumultuous, moments of connection and understanding could pierce through the noise, illuminating the path ahead. As the plane climbed higher, Anna felt a renewed sense of hope. She was ready to embrace every moment, every encounter, and the lessons that would mold her into the person she wanted to become. She would remember the man with the medal, the one who had confronted her anger with force and turned conflict into connection. With that thought, Anna felt her heart swell with gratitude. Life was a series of choices, and she was determined to choose compassion, to choose understanding. Behind every face lay a unique story, a world worth exploring. and as they soared through the sky, Anna knew she would approach the world with open arms, ready to cherish each encounter, ready to discover the hidden treasures waiting to be revealed, one moment at a time. The airport was a whirlwind of movement, filled with the frenetic energy of hurried travelers, rolling luggage, and the distant echoes of flight announcements. Anna stood in line, her heart thrumming in rhythm with the ticking clock above. She glanced down at her phone, anxiety creeping in. Her flight was leaving in just 20 minutes and she was still at security. As she shuffled forward, a figure in a navy jacket brushed past her and slipped in line right ahead. "What the Anna?" exclaimed, her voice sharp and immediately demanding attention from those nearby. The sudden interruption of her thoughts jolted her, and she felt the rush of indignation coursing through her. She called out, her voice cutting through the crowd. The man turned, looking both surprised and slightly guilty. He appeared to be in his 50s, with a face lined by life's challenges and a hint of weariness in his eyes. Anna snapped, her tone laced with anger. "I'm sorry," he said, raising his hands as if to placate her. "I didn't mean to cause trouble. Look, we're all waiting here." Anna shot back, her frustration boiling over. The man sighed, his expression shifting to one of concern. "I understand, but I really need to catch my flight." The words struck Anna like a sudden gust of wind, catching her off guard. In her mind, she saw only the man cutting in line, not the possibility that he had a pressing reason. Her heart raced, anger battling with a sense of compassion that began to emerge. "Just because you have a family doesn't mean you don't have to follow the rules," she replied, crossing her arms defensively. Around them, other travelers paused, some exchanging glances, subtly judging the heated exchange. The tension was palpable, filling the space between them. The man looked directly at Anna, a hint of desperation in his voice. "I truly didn't mean to upset anyone." His words fell into the silence and the atmosphere shifted. Anna glanced down at the shiny metal hanging from the ribbon around his neck, reflecting the harsh fluorescent lights above. It caught her eye, a symbol of honor that suddenly demanded her attention. She asked, curiosity peeking through her resentment. He touched the metal gently. "I earned it for my service in the Navy." The weight of his words sank in, puncturing Anna's anger. The man wasn't just some stranger cutting in line. He was a veteran, a person shaped by sacrifice and duty. She felt the color drain from her face as she began to grasp the gravity of the moment. I didn't know," she said softly, her voice losing its edge. "I'm sorry." "It's okay," he replied, his tone surprisingly gentle. "We all get caught up in our own stress, but you're right, I should have been more aware. The regret in his eyes was palpable, as if he carried the burdens of countless memories. Anna could sense the struggle behind his words, and for the first time she felt a surge of empathy. She asked, her voice softer than before. He looked toward the boarding area, a hint of panic crossing his face. "Let's ask together," Anna suggested, determination rising within her. He blinked, surprise washing over his features. "Of course," Anna replied, feeling a new bond forming. They moved to the front of the line, side by side, and she couldn't help but feel the tension of the past moments slip away as they approached the counter. The attendant, a young woman with a cheerful demeanor, looked up from her screen. She asked with a welcoming smile. "Need help getting him on his flight," Anna said quickly, sensing the urgency in the veteran's expression. The attendant's face softened. "Thank you for your service," she said, turning her attention to the man. As the attendant began typing, a hush fell around them. Anna could feel the man's tension, anxiety crackling in the air. The seconds ticked by like hours, and she could almost hear the thump of his heart echoing in the quiet. After what felt like a lifetime, the attendant's face lit up. "You're all set." "I can get you on the next flight," he exclaimed, relief washing over his features as he turned to Anna. "You helped make this happen for me." "I didn't do anything special," Anna said, feeling the weight of the moment shift. "No," he insisted. "You stood by me when I needed it the most." As he hurried away towards his gate, the connection they had forged lingered in the air, a quiet understanding that had grown from tension. Anna watched him go, her heart swelling with empathy and regret. She had almost missed this lesson, blinded by anger. Walking back to her own gate, Anna felt a new weight settle on her shoulders, but it felt lighter, more profound. It was a weight of responsibility, the realization of how quickly she could have judged someone without truly knowing their story. In a world that often felt divided, she had tasted a moment of unity, a reminder that each of us carries a narrative woven from joy, pain, triumph, and struggle. The bustling terminal around her faded into the background as she reflected on what had just occurred. Each transaction in life was like a thread, and she realized how easy it was to overlook the beautiful tapestry woven by countless experiences. Each person was a story waiting to be unraveled, and if she was only willing to listen, she could discover something meaningful. Settling into her seat on the plane, the hum of the engines filled her ears, and she found herself replaying the encounter in her mind. She could still see the man's kind eyes, the sincerity in his words, and the metal that glinted like a beacon of hope. The plane began to taxi down the runway, and Anna looked out at the world below, the grid of life bustling with activity. It struck her how often people rush through life, failing to consider what others might be experiencing. The anger that had surged within her moments before had dissolved into something much richer: compassion and understanding. As the plane lifted off the ground, leaving the chaos of the airport behind, she couldn't help but smile. That one moment had the potential to ripple out and change everything. There was magic in the unexpected connections, the chance encounters that turned into invaluable lessons. Anna made a promise to herself that day. She would strive to approach every interaction with curiosity. Instead of immediately reacting, she would take a moment to understand the person before her. What kind of story were they carrying? What struggles were hidden behind their eyes? She realized that empathy had its roots in understanding, and that every encounter was a chance to reach out, to bridge a gap, and to find common ground. Life was filled with crossroads where a simple kindness could change a person's entire day. Deep within her, a fire ignited, pushing her to embrace the world with open arms. She didn't want to be the one quick to judge, she wanted to be the one willing to learn and grow. As the plane soared higher into the sky, Anna felt free, a weight lifted, a lightness in her spirit. She glanced out the window, watching the clouds drift past like thoughts in a stream of consciousness. Below them lay untold stories, people weaving their paths and interactions waiting to unfold. In that moment, she knew she would not forget the man in the navy jacket or the medal he wore. He had opened her eyes, helped her realize that every person has a unique perspective, a life lived with moments just as significant as her own. As they flew toward their destination, Anna looked forward with excitement and gratitude, ready to encounter the world anew. She would embrace those stories, both hers and others, the laughter, the pain, and the depth of humanity that existed all around her. With each passing minute, she vowed to walk through life with a heart open to connection, a spirit bright with curiosity. And above all, she would remember that sometimes it takes a simple moment-to-moment shared with a stranger to awaken the compassion that resides in us all. The bustling airport was a nerve center of commotion, with travelers hustling to check in, grab coffee, and catch their flights. Anna stood in line at security, tapping her foot impatiently. The clock overhead ticked relentlessly, and she felt the pressure mount with every passing second. Her flight was boarding in 15 minutes, and here she was, still stuck at security. Then it happened. A man in a navy jacket bypassed the queue and slipped right in front of her. Shock ripped through her, and an immediate surge of indignation swept over her. She couldn't believe it. How could he just cut in line like that? Anna exclaimed, her voice cutting sharply through the noise. "Excuse me," the man turned, clearly startled. He looked to be in his 50s, with a face marked by experience, lines creasing his forehead. For a brief moment, confusion flickered in his eyes. "I'm sorry," he said, raising his hands as if to defuse the situation. "I didn't mean to cut." Anna felt her anger ignite more, fueled by the pulse of anxiety coursing through her veins. She shot back, her voice rising. People nearby began to glance over, their attention drawn to the unfolding drama. The tension in the air was palpable. "I really need to get on this flight," the man said, desperation creeping into his voice. Anna retorted, her indignation rolling steadily like a wave. "That's not my problem." His expression shifted as if struck by an unseen force. He took a deep breath, then whispered, "I genuinely apologize." Anna stood firm, unyielding. She crossed her arms, eyes narrowing as she took in the man's weary demeanor. Maybe frustration had narrowed her perspective. The airport was chaotic, but so was everyone's life. The man paused and reached into his jacket pocket, pulling out a small medal, its golden surface catching the overhead lights. For a moment, time stood still as the crowd's eyes shifted toward the medal, the tension evaporating. Anna asked, her anger momentarily replaced by curiosity. "It's for my service in the Navy," he said quietly, his voice cracking slightly. Anna blinked, the anger slipping away like sand through her fingers. Her heart sank as the gravity of the situation hit her. This wasn't just a man cutting in line. He was a veteran, someone who had served his country and was now trying to get home. "I didn't know," she stammered, her voice softer, laced with regret. "I'm so sorry." "It's all right," he replied, the weariness in his eyes still present, but now tinged with a hint of understanding. People often lose sight of one another's stories when they're caught up in their own lives. For a brief moment, the world around her faded away. Here was a man who had faced challenges Anna could barely imagine, standing in front of her, carrying an emotional burden she had failed to see. She asked, feeling a rush of empathy. "I hope so," he said, glancing anxiously at the security line. "Let's ask together," Anna suggested, feeling a burst of determination. The surprise in his eyes flickered again, mixed with a hint of disbelief. "Absolutely," she said, stepping forward, solidarity sparking between them. They approached the counter, and Anna felt her heart race. The attendant looked up from behind the screen, a bright smile on her face. Anna chimed in, "He needs to get on his flight." The attendant's tone shifted, understanding blooming in her eyes. "Thank you for your service." Time seemed to stretch indefinitely as the attendant typed away, the seconds ticking down. Anna felt the weight of the moment hang in the air, thick with anticipation. She could see the man's shoulders tense as his anxiety flared. Then the attendant smiled brightly, her eyes sparkling with relief. "You're all set, we can get you on the next flight." The man's expression transformed, a wave of relief washing over him. He exclaimed, gratitude spilling from his words. He turned to Anna, and for the first time she saw his eyes glisten with warmth. "You really helped make this happen." Anna felt something shift within her. I didn't do anything special. No, he insisted with firm softness. You showed up for me when I needed. As he hurried away, a burst of self-reflection washed over Anna. She had almost condemned this man in her frustration, judging him solely for cutting in line without grasping the weight behind his actions. It felt like a lesson, one that stirred an awakening within her. Walking back toward her own gate, Anna's heart had changed. She had witnessed firsthand how misunderstandings could flourish in the busy chaos of life. Every person had their narrative, and it was essential to remember that there were layers beneath the surface. She glanced up as she made her way through the terminal, noticing the throngs of people, families reuniting, business travelers hustling, and others lost in their thoughts. Every individual was a life lived, a story waiting to unfold, and she was merely a participant in the grand theater of human experience. Anna settled into her seat on the plane, replaying the incident in her mind. She could still picture the man's unwavering kindness, the metal that glittered like a beacon of hope. The weight of their encounter lingered like a warm embrace, reminding her of the power of compassion. As the plane took off, ascending high above the world, she felt a fresh determination swirl within her. Life was not merely about rushing from one destination to another. It was about the connections forged, the lessons learned, and the understanding gained along the way. With each passing minute, she promised to approach her encounters with curiosity, looking beyond the surface. Instead of quick judgments, she would endeavor to understand the complexities of other people's lives. The plane soared, the ground shrinking beneath her, and Anna gazed out the window at the sprawling landscape below. Each town and city pulsated with stories, lives intertwined in an intricate tapestry. It reminded her that everybody had their struggles, their victories, and their journeys. Then she thought about how different the interaction could have been if she had opted for kindness right off the bat. What if she had taken a moment to ask the man why he seemed rushed instead of hurling accusations? Would it have opened up a dialogue, a chance to connect beyond their initial confrontation? That moment of anger had revealed the vulnerabilities shared by all humanity, the imperfections, the misunderstandings, the moments of weakness, and it was a powerful realization that stayed with her. As the plane cruised into the sky, Anna felt like she was not just a traveler moving from one destination to another. She was a part of something larger, an interconnected web of experiences and emotions. She was ready to embrace every moment, every interaction, and the depth of maturity that chronicles a meaningful life. With renewed energy, she made a silent vow to champion understanding in her daily encounters. It wouldn't always be easy, but she would strive to create bridges instead of walls, paths instead of obstacles. The journey of life was about more than just navigating through the chaos. It was about finding beauty in the midst of confusion, compassion in the wake of frustration. It was about honoring each person's journey and the stories that shaped them. As the plane climbed higher, Anna felt a wave of gratitude sweep over her. She would carry forward the lesson learned that day, and the impact of one simple act of kindness. The man in the navy jacket and his shining metal would forever remain etched in her heart. Soaring above the world, Anna gazed forward, eyes fixed on the horizon, ready to embrace every twist and turn of life's grand journey. She was set to encounter new stories, discover the hidden depths of others, and find her place within the intricate tapestry of humanity. And as she sat there, illuminated by the glow of understanding, Anna was ready to listen, to learn, and to grow, one encounter at a time. Each moment could change everything. All it took was a glimmer of compassion and the willingness to see beyond the surface. In a crowded airport terminal filled with the sounds of rolling luggage and distant announcements, Anna stood in line at the security checkpoint, her heart racing. Time was slipping away as the clock above ticked down mercilessly. Her flight was about to board, and the line in front of her seemed to stretch endlessly. Suddenly, she saw him, a man in a navy jacket sneaking in right in front of her. Her initial disbelief quickly morphed into anger. She was exhausted from a long day of traveling, and here was someone blatantly disrespecting the rules. The feelings surged within her like a wave. She called out, her tone sharp and demanding. The man turned, surprise flickering in his eyes. He asked, a hint of confusion coloring his voice. Anna shot back, irritation lacing her words. Behind them, other travelers began to look over, drawn into the escalating drama. The man's face morphed from surprise to distress. He glanced at the line and then back at her. I didn't see where the line ended. Anna crossed her arms, her impatience intensifying. She retorted, frustration bubbling to the surface. He raised his hands in a placating gesture, desperation seeping into his voice. I really need to catch my flight. My family is waiting for me, he said, eyes pleading. Anna snapped back, her anger still tightly coiled. The tension was thick, and for a moment the world around them faded into silence. She could feel the eyes of other passengers boring into them, waiting to see how this confrontation would unfold. He stood his ground without flinching, the worry in his eyes shifting to something more resolute. I understand you're upset, he said, a weariness evident in his tone, but I really didn't mean to disrespect anyone. The word veterans hung in the air, planting a seed of doubt in Anna's anger. She felt a flicker of curiosity, but quickly pushed it aside. Well, that doesn't give you the right to treat others like they don't matter, she shot back, still resolute. He pleaded, his voice tinged with desperation. In that moment, he reached into his jacket, pulling out a small medal, the shining surface catching the airport lights. Anna asked, her voice faltering as curiosity crept into her anger. He held the medal carefully, almost reverently. I received this for my service in the Navy. Suddenly, Anna felt the ground shift beneath her feet. The anger that had coursed through her began to evaporate, replaced by a wave of understanding. This man wasn't just a stranger, he was someone who had served his country, putting his life on the line while she stood here worrying about missing a flight. I didn't know, she said, her voice softening, shame flooding in. I'm sorry. He looked at her, the tension in his features easing slightly. It's okay, we get wrapped up in our own worries. I really didn't mean to accuse you like that, Anna said, sincerity creeping into her voice. He nodded, seemingly understanding her plight. I understand, it's not easy in a busy airport. Anna quickly surveyed the growing line and then looked back at him. She asked, suddenly invested in this man's journey. I hope so, he replied, glancing anxiously toward the boarding gate. Let's ask together, she suggested, the determination in her voice firm. He blinked, surprise flickering in his eyes. Of course, Anna said, feeling a sense of unity forming between them. Together they approached the counter, the atmosphere thick with urgency. Anna felt a nervous jolt as they neared the attendant, who looked up at them with a bright smile. The man quickly relayed his situation. I just came from a ceremony honoring veterans. Anna stepped beside him. He really needs to get on that flight, she added, her voice supportive. The attendant's demeanor shifted, a kindness shining through. Thank you for your service. As the attendant typed, the seconds felt like hours, Anna's heart pounding with anxiety. She could see the veteran's tension return, his shoulders tensing under the pressure. But she felt empowered, standing beside him, hoping for a small miracle. After what seemed like an eternity, the attendant looked up, her eyes bright with relief. You're all set. The man's eyes widened, a wave of gratitude washing over him. He exclaimed, turning to Anna, you made this possible. Anna felt warmth spread through her. I didn't do anything special. No, he insisted, his gratitude palpable. You chose to help when you didn't have to. With a final wave, he rushed toward the gate, and Anna stood back, watching as he disappeared into the crowd. In that moment, she felt a profound shift within herself. Gratitude and empathy replaced the anger she had harbored just moments before, lessons learned through an unexpected encounter. As she walked back to her own gate, the hum of the airport enveloped her. She was still buzzing from the experience, reflecting on how quickly perceptions could change. She had almost succumbed to judgment without understanding the man's story. What if everyone took a moment to consider the emotional battles others faced? Each traveler, every individual moving through that crowded space, carried their own unique story. She felt something like enlightenment wash over her, a realization that this moment could serve as a wake-up call. Settling into her seat on the plane, she replayed the encounter in her mind, feeling lighter. She murmured a silent wish for the veteran to reach his family in time, the image of his grateful smile still vivid in her memory. But then, just as she was allowing herself to relax, a sudden message crackled over the intercom. An unsettling ripple swept through the cabin. People exchanged anxious glances, murmurs rising as concerns and worries began to spread like wildfire. She felt a knot form in her stomach. What if the storm delayed the plane? What if the veteran didn't make it home after all? The thought clawed at her insides. Was there any way to reach him? Was he still at the terminal? Panic surged within her, a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. She glanced out the window at the rolling clouds gathering in the distance, their ominous shapes mirroring her anxiety. What if the universe wouldn't let the good deeds blossom? Just then, as if the universe was listening, a thought pierced through the chaos. Maybe she could do something. She could at least try to help. She pushed herself to her feet, determination igniting her as she made her way down the aisle toward the exit. As she approached the gate agent, she nearly stumbled over her words. Excuse me, I need to reach someone who is just boarding the flight, a veteran. The agent blinked, a look of surprise and confusion crossing her face. That's a bit unusual. I understand, but it's urgent. I just spoke to him. He has a family waiting, and he just came from a veteran's ceremony. The agent hesitated, glancing at the storm clouds outside. Anna's heart raced as the agent began to type furiously into the computer. Time felt suspended, each second stretching into eternity. Then an alarm began to ring in her mind, the realization of how easily the world could change with just a few moments. Suddenly, the gate agent looked up. I found him. Anna felt a surge of relief and urgency. Thank you, just please hurry, the agent said, her eyes filled with equal parts urgency and concern. Anna dashed back through the terminal, weaving in and out of travelers, her heart pounding in time with her footsteps. The storm clouds loomed overhead, dark and intimidating, but in that moment she focused solely on making one connection, the connection that had started with misunderstanding but had the potential to flourish into something meaningful. As she approached the security checkpoint, she could see groups of people milling around, confusion and panic etched on their faces. "Excuse me," she called out, desperation lacing her voice. People looked at her quizzically, but finally she spotted him hovering near the security exit, his face lined with worry. She shouted, her voice breaking through the chaos. He turned, surprise flickering across his features. "What's happening?" "There's a storm," she panted, trying to catch her breath. "I didn't want you to get stuck here." His eyes widened with alarm. "I need to get home," she urged, feeling the pressure of time race behind her. As they dashed toward the gate, she glanced back, seeing the dark clouds approaching ominously outside, swirling like a warning. Would they make it in time, and what would the future hold for them both? Anna couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just a race against time. It was a moment of connection that transcended their earlier confrontation. They could feel the tension rising as they reached the gate. The attendant was still there, looking stressed as she monitored the situation. Anna turned to the man beside her. Together they approached the attendant, hearts racing as the world beyond the gate darkened further. "This man needs to get on that flight," Anna said urgently, her voice filled with a newfound determination. "He just served his country and his family is waiting for him." The attendant's gaze darted between them, her face conflicted. A moment's pause seemed to stretch into eternity. Would they be able to fight against fate? The storm approached ominously, thunder rumbling in the distance. What would happen next? Would their paths converge in time, or had they missed their moment? In that breathtaking moment, everything hung in the balance. Anna felt her heart race, the tension between them thick, as the fate of their connection remained uncharted. Would they find a way to transcend this critical crossroads together? The clock ticked mercilessly while the storm loomed overhead, and time felt like it was slipping through their fingers once more.